Okay, well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. So, yeah, just wanted to show you some interesting things with PowerPoint 2013 and just some, I think, productivity tips that I find very handy in working with PowerPoint and making a little bit better PowerPoint presentations as well. So, I think what I should do here is, of course, share my screen so that you can see what's on my screen. That will help. One of the things that is mentioned on the outline is getting into PowerPoint quickly, and you'll notice that I have pinned the PowerPoint icon to the taskbar. In Windows 8, when it appears on the taskbar, if you just right-click, you can pin it on the taskbar as well. So that gets you into PowerPoint a little bit quicker as well. I'm just going to launch into PowerPoint and show you the opening screen. And yes, if you haven't worked with 2013, things have definitely changed a little bit. We're set with this opening screen to get going as well. This is great because this gives us some very nice new presentation themes that we can work with. So you can see there's a number of different themes that we can get into and present or use for our presentation as well. The other thing is there are some suggested searches. So if you're looking for other types of presentations or other designs beyond these, you can use, say, presentations, and this will open up all sorts of other types of presentations and layouts that you can use as well. Look at the category list on the side here, all sorts of different categories of different types of presentations. So if you're lacking for a good idea for a design, there you go. You've got lots to choose from. Do some exploring here. It'll save you a tremendous amount of time and fiddling with the design as well. I do find going back to Home will take me back to the opening screen where I can see the basic themes as well. Now, if I don't want to start into a theme, I can certainly use the arrow at the top to exit out of the new screen and get back to PowerPoint, but I want to actually click on one of the themes and launch that into a new presentation. So this is kind of interesting in that I can see the presentation, and I can also see different variants. And these give me different color choices that I can choose initially when we start out. So if I click on, say, the blue color, now I can see the preview and click Create, and now I have my presentation in that theme. What you'll notice is the themes are a lot simpler, and I think this is a good thing for presentation because we don't want this to distract from the actual speaking part of the presentation as well. Now, when we're working with this, if you look at this, notice that this is widescreen. And so, yes, a lot of the new layouts are widescreen. If we want to change this on the Design tab and Slide Size, you'll be able to see widescreen and, yes, the normal standard if you're working with a sort of old basic projector as opposed to, say, a widescreen TV or a widescreen monitor. So I can switch back and forth and work with them that way as well. Again, I can see on the Design tab all of the different design themes that we saw before, and yes, some different color variants that I can work with as well. So if you decide at this point you want to change the colors, you can work that way as well. I'd like to keep this presentation. I just want to add a title. I'm just going to type in Welcome to PowerPoint 2013. How's that? There we go. So there's the basics of working with that as well. Now, one of the things that working with PowerPoint that I think is a great time saver, yes, if you've worked in 2007 or 2010, you'll have this quick access toolbar. I find that I can add things here such as new and other commands that I can add there as well. Back on the Home tab, I can see all of my different commands here as well. Yeah, 2013 I think is very similar to 2010, 2007. I think the most challenging thing with the 2013 is they've changed the design of a lot of the icons. So things don't look quite the same, but yeah, it still functions very much the same as well. So it's a matter of getting used to the new shapes and working with things there as well. So yeah, I think the quick access toolbar really handy. The other thing I think is handy with the quick access toolbar is if you right click on a button, say this clear all formatting button, I can right click, I can add that to the quick access toolbar as well. So I can build up a complement of tools that I work with on a regular basis on this quick access toolbar. So yeah, I find that really quite helpful as well. Now I'm going to close this presentation that I created. So this is one thing that you want to be careful of. Notice there's only one X. So if I need to close my presentation, I'll go to File and Close. And so there I close the presentation. Do I want to save this? I think I'll say Don't Save. And here we are back in PowerPoint as well. So if I want to open up a presentation, yeah, this is where things are a little different. I want to find the location of where the presentation is. So click Computer first, and then I can find either recent folders or browse to find the folder as well. The files that I'm working with are on the desktop. I have some PowerPoint files here, and I'm going to open up one here called Healthy Futures that is, yeah, pretty plain. And just want to touch on a few things that I think are quite useful. On slide 2, for instance, notice there's some wavy red lines on here as well. So this, of course, indicates that there are spelling errors. If I right-click on the word, generally I'll come up with a suggestion. I could ignore it. I could also add it to the dictionary as well, but I think I'll just use the option. There's another one to correct there, and I'll correct that as well. So yeah, just some very quick ways of updating and making sure things are spelled correctly as you're working as well. Now, when I'm working with this, if I select some content, and of course I want to format this, I'm going to select it first. If I don't wave the mouse around too much, which I did the first time, you'll notice that I have my mini toolbar, so I can choose bold, I can choose italic, and so this way I can do some very quick formatting right here. Even change the color of the text. So yeah, these are really exciting colors right now, but I'll choose the blue, and there I can change the color there as well. So likewise, I can select this and work with this a little bit more. So I'll make that bold and italic as well. Now, one of the things that I find if you were working with your presentation, you don't want all of these effects. You'd like them back to the way they were in the design, or if you happen to inherit a presentation from someone else and it's all over the place with formatting, one of the options that I find really handy is this reset button. And if I click reset, this will now reset the slide back to its initial design. So really handy to make sure that I've got my consistent formatting and I can clear out the extra formatting that's in the presentation as well. Now, of course, in this case, this is a pretty plain presentation. So what I think we'll do is I'll go back to my design. I'll have a look at the design themes and have a look at each of the themes and see what I'd like to apply. I think I'd like to go back to the Ion Boardroom and click on that. And there, now I've formatted my presentation for that as well. Again, if I'm presenting on a wide screen, I can go back to slide size and change my slide to widescreen as well. It's nice that it reproportions things on the slide and helps fit things as well. Yeah, I'll come back to that in a moment. Yeah, okay. So again, I can set that up. There's my title slide, of course. Nice bright colors and so on as well. Likewise, with the variants, I can change the colors individually And what I find interesting with the colors is that if I choose a color that I like, and I want to change not the entire presentation, but just the slide that I have active. This is handy for, say, separator slides or sections, or for instance, the title slide. And there I've colored one slide differently than the rest. So I have a little bit bolder heading on the rest, a little bit more subtle cover there as well. So this gives me some ways of working with and adjusting that as well. Now, yeah, the question default presentation, so it always defaults to standard. I'm not quite sure what you're referring to as standard. In this case, standard is the blank presentation Office theme here as well. So yeah, I can work with that as well. I'll come back on that one and think a little bit more about that if you have any more details as well. Comment on size, Beverly, if you could elaborate on that, that would be great. Again, size slides and custom slide size allows me again to work with that a little bit further as well, if that's what you're asking. But anyway, so yeah, working with the themes, I think, are a really great way to ensure the consistency across your entire presentation as well. Now, I'm going to go back and start a new presentation and just show you another tool that you may or may not have used in your presentations. Actually, I think I'll keep this one and just build on it. And that is what is called the outline view. Now, if you've worked with 2007 or 2010, you'll see a normal tab and an outline tab here. But the outline view shows me the outline or structure of the presentation. And so now I can see all of my content in the presentation. This is a fantastic way of working with and editing all of your presentation. So you can see each of the individual slides by clicking on the title. If you want to work with this, if you right-click on the title, you can actually collapse all of the content and just see the title. So if you're working with, well, I can probably see about 30 slides here on the screen. Even the slide sorter makes it difficult. So this way I can work with the slides that way as well. I'm going to right-click and expand that. And actually, I'll choose right-click, expand, and expand all. There we go. I'm going to go to the slide here and slide 2. And I can make changes directly in here as well. So I'm going to change the word find to look for. And so notice the changes I make here are made directly in the presentation. So this makes it easy to work with all of the content. I think the content is key to your presentation. Yeah, okay. So yeah, the new presentations are the design themes are scaled to the specific size. I'll talk a little more about design themes and how to set them up as well, a little bit as well. But one of the things I think is great with the outline is if I click here and press enter, I clicked at the end of my content, press enter, and I can create a new bullet point. But what I find very useful is I can change the level from here. So if I use the decrease list level button while I'm in the outline, I can decrease a bullet point to a new slide. And so now I can type in a new slide, say customer expectations. If I press enter, I have a new slide, but if I decrease the list level or increase the list level, now I have a bullet point. So I can type service, press enter. If I press tab, by the way, that's the same as the button, and I can change the level. So I can type sensitive, press Enter, and Shift-Tab promotes again as well. So I can change the levels back and forth and add my content here really quickly as well. So I can build my whole presentation right here, just typing and working with that as well. This also gives me a chance to see how much text I have. And yeah, one of the things of good presentation is certainly having less content on the slide and more to talk about as well. So yeah, this I think is great. If you're not using this now, I think you'll find it will really streamline what you're working with and make things faster and easier to work with your presentation as well. Now, so again, yeah, works well as far as that. I can also adjust the width if I need to as well, so I can see how my presentation works that way as well. Now, I'm going to close this, and yeah, this always frustrates me. I always find that having to go to File and Close all the time. So what I'll do here, I'll just show you very quickly. If I go to the drop-down from the Quick Access toolbar, go to More Commands, the command that I'm looking for is the one on the File tab, the one that we just used. And so now if I take the Close and add that to my Quick Access toolbar, click OK, now I have a Close button on my Quick Access toolbar. So this way now I can very quickly just close the presentation and save my presentation or not save it as well. So anyway, there's a very quick way of working with that as well. Now, one of the other things is you may have other presentations that already have content in them. And so I'd like to open up from my computer and the folder that I'm working with right now. One called, actually I'm going to open up two. One called Saving the Earth 2, and another one called Save the Earth Seminar. So I'm going to open up two presentations at the same time. And I'm just going to cancel that. And now I have two separate presentations. You'll be able to see on the status bar the two presentations here as well. One of the things I find handy though is if you go to View and choose Arrange All, I can now see two presentations beside each other as well. And this is cool because now if I have content in one presentation that I want to put in the other, rather than having to switch back and forth, I can just take a slide here and drag it over to the other presentation. I'm dragging it wherever I want to put it. And once I let go, it's added that as well. Notice that it's actually converted the theme to the destination, which is usually what you want to do. But sometimes, hey, maybe you want to have the same style that you had in your original presentation back here as well. So notice the little drop-down button here. So if I click on the button, I can choose to use the destination, which it was. I can also keep the source formatting, and now it maintains the formatting from the other presentation as well. So this gives us some great ways of working with that as well. And again, you might notice that the button is gone right now. So I'm going to close Saving the Earth 2. I'll maximize this back to my full screen. What if I want to change this back? Well, if I actually go back to my layouts, you'll notice that I have the layout from the other design theme. I also have the layout from this theme as well. So I'll choose the title only theme there, and there I switched that back as well. So this way I can work back and forth between the different themes and help me out that way as well. Another way, if you need to add content to a presentation, if we go to the new slide drop down, there's an option way at the bottom here that says reuse slides. And if I choose reuse slides, this will actually allow me to browse for a presentation and open it up in this panel. And then I can move the slides from the panel into my presentation as well. If you happen to have SharePoint, you can build a slide library in SharePoint of slides that anyone can use, single slides, say corporate slides and so on, that you can work with as well. In this case, I'm going to browse for a file and find my folder, find the document that I'm looking for. So this is recycling breakdown, and there I can see now the individual slides here as well. And so this is nice because I can actually preview the slides. I don't have to actually open the presentation. I'm just opening it in a window. If you want to keep the source formatting, notice there's a check mark at the bottom where I can keep the source formatting, or if I just click on it, it's going to add that presentation and update it, or that content, and update it for the new location as well. So again, save yourself a little bit of time, reuse the stuff that you've already created, and yeah, just make things a lot smoother as well. Now, I'm going to close my presentation, so this is where I can use again my close button to close that. I want to save your changes, so I'm going to say save, there we go. And oh, I don't need my reuse slides panel open, so I'll close that as well. So I want to again open up another presentation, so I'm going to go to File, choose the location that I want to open that from, the folder that I'm working with, and I'm going to open up Saving the Earth. And there we are, back to the presentation as well. So now when I'm working with my presentation, if I go back to the design themes, and I have a number of themes here that I can apply to my presentation. So if I choose the Ion, notice that my presentation is the 4:3 format, and when I apply the theme, it matches the format of my presentation. And so I'm choosing that, and there's my presentation set up there as well. Variants, of course, are great, but I like the fact that we can, again, adjust colors. And so I can go and adjust colors throughout the presentation as well. Also, you may find that you have specific fonts that you use or would like to use. So I can go to Fonts and change the entire font set for the presentation as well. So yes, if your corporate font style is Franklin Gothic, then I can choose the Franklin Gothic, and my whole presentation now has the Franklin Gothic style as well. So again, there's my basic view of the presentation, change the design theme as well. Now, one other thing I think is really important as far as working with presentations is if I go to slide 2, just to show you, and slide 3, notice all of the titles are the same size. One of the things that people will automatically do is if something's larger, it's often perceived as being more important. If something's smaller, it's less important. And so if you're going through a presentation, your titles vary in size, it's going to confuse the audience or make them think a little bit and not pay 100% of attention to the presentation as well. Now, of course, I can use one of my favorite tools in Office is the Format Painter to copy formatting and reuse it somewhere else. So for instance, if I select my title, I click 3 times, make it italic. If I now click the Format Painter, switch to the next slide, and paint across, and of course, there I've copied the formatting as well. That's okay for 1 or 2, but for 40 slides, no, I wouldn't want to do that. So I'm going to reset the slide, and that puts it back to the way it was. I'm also going to go to slide 2 and reset that, and that's also back to the way it was as well. What I want to use is what's called the slide master. So if I view the slide master, this now allows me to work with all of the individual layouts. So notice this layout is the title-only layout, or it allows me to work with the primary master, which controls the formatting of the entire presentation. So if I want my headings to be just a little bit larger, I can now select the heading here, make it just a little larger. I like this increased font size button, by the way. And maybe make it italic so I can see the difference. Notice that change is reflected in the layouts. And when I go back to my normal view, so I can either close the master view, or here's a faster way, click the normal button down at the bottom. And that will go back to the presentation. And now all of my headings are the same and consistent throughout the presentation. I'm looking at this slide here, and I'm thinking that the text is rather small, so I'd like to increase that. I also, well, I don't have any other text in the document, but I'd like to make that larger. So yes, I could, of course, highlight it here and make it larger, but this is where, again, if I go back to the slide master, so view slide master, I can now select my first level text and increase the font size. So I'll make that, say, 28 point. And now I've got a nice bigger text on the screen as well. Once I've done that, I can, of course, go back to my layout. This is something you do want to be careful of, so I'm going to undo what I just did, because I chose just the title and content layout. And that means only the slides that use this particular layout will be adjusted. So what I want to do, try to anyway, use the primary master, make the adjustment here to increase the font size, and that will then reflect on all of the slides throughout the presentation. So I want to go back to my presentation and go back to normal, and now all of my text is larger throughout the presentation. Yes, if I go to slide 4, and I will have to change the layout to title and content, but now this is the same size as the other one as well. So yeah, using the layouts, the slide master, and the placeholders really make a difference as far as making things faster and easier to work with as well. Now, I've got this presentation, and I've played with it a little bit. I've made some adjustments, but I've been told that we have a corporate theme that I have to use for the presentation. And I'd like to be able to apply that theme from that corporate presentation to here as well. Well, one of the ways of doing that, and I think this is probably the easiest, because then I can do that for all of the presentations that I'm working with. So what I'll do is I'll go back and open from my computer and the current folder. I have this corporate presentation called OGC Properties that I will open. And this is the style that our corporate presentations should follow. So what I'm going to do here is, in the design, if I go to my design themes, notice that I can save the current theme. So what I can do is I can take this design theme and save it so that I can reapply it to other presentations. So if I save the current theme, and I'll save that as OGC theme, or let's say OGC corporate. There we go. And I will save. And so that's actually saved in the themes gallery. And you might notice here now, when I open up the themes, I have a custom theme, and that's the OGC corporate theme. So that way I've taken my corporate theme from the presentation, saved it as a custom theme. Now I can close my corporate presentation And now I want to apply that to this presentation as well. So if we go to Design, I'll expand my gallery. There's the custom one. Click on that, and now my presentation matches the corporate theme. So this way now I'm consistent with the corporate style and work with that as well. Again, if you are allowed to or you need to, you can always go back to the slide master and make minor adjustments, say to things like bullets or font size if that's critical for your presentation. But again, there I've applied my corporate theme to the presentation as well. So I don't have to start with the template. I think that's the nice thing, is that I can build my content first and then apply the design after the fact as well. Now, I just messed up my notes, so just give me a moment. All right. So yeah, so there we go. That I think you'll find very helpful as well. I'm going to close this presentation, and so there we go. We'll close that. I'm going to save this now because now this matches my corporate theme, and there we go. And let's see. I'm going to open up. So, I closed PowerPoint too, so I'll launch PowerPoint. And what if I want to open another presentation? Well, there I can open another presentation from here. And find my computer, my recent place, and work with the presentation here as well. So I happen to have a presentation here called Smart Art and Graphics, and I'll open that up, and this has some graphics here as well. Now, a couple of things that I think are very useful when I'm working with graphics. I'm just going to go to slide 3. I'd like to insert a picture into this slide. Now, if I'm inserting pictures, this has changed a little bit from the previous versions. Of course, I can insert pictures from my computer. So if I have a picture stored on the computer, I can insert from there. The clip art gallery that used to be in Microsoft Office has now been replaced with online pictures. And this actually uses a Bing search to find images that are royalty-free and available to be used anywhere in presentations. So if I type in, say, money, and press enter, now I found all sorts of money here as well. Yes, it says the search results are licensed under Creative Commons, and these are licensing that allows you to use these images royalty-free without infringing on somebody else's copyright as well. If you go to a Google search and search for images, you're going to get images that have copyright on them because they are used on a specific website as well. So this means that I can use these images for whatever I need to work with as well. Again, lots of different types of money here. Way more images than we had before as well. I'm going to just choose these coins and choose Insert to insert that to my drawing. Notice how big it is. This is always the fun part of doing that. And yeah, if you're working with a picture from a digital camera, it can be huge, and you'd have to shrink your zoom size. Yeah, you can do it down the bottom here, and resize your picture. So probably the easier way to do this is if I want to insert a picture, if I change the layout to title and to content, this now moves the content over, gives me a placeholder, and now when I insert the picture into the placeholder, I'll have to search again. I'll just find one of the other images. There we go. And insert. Notice the picture now fits in the placeholder. So this will save you some time as far as placing images and getting them into your presentation as well. Now, I'm going to go down to slide 5, and you notice that this picture has a white background. And so there's a couple of different ways that we can work with to get rid of the white background. One of the ways, if I go to color and set transparent color, I can now click on the white color, and that will remove the white color from the image. So there I've removed the background. So yeah, that works really nicely if I have a very good solid white background. Now, the other image here though, on the front page, is a little more tricky because if I use that option, it's more difficult because there are all sorts of different colors, and the choose color will only work with one color rather than all of them. So if I click on my picture, I'm just going to enlarge this a little bit so that I can see a little bit better what I'm working with. Picture Tools, Format, and Remove Background. And so if I use the Remove Background tool, this now starts to select the area of my image by color. And so I'm going to expand this a little larger so it encompasses all of the content. And now you can see that some parts are selected, some parts aren't. Sometimes this does a great job, sometimes not quite so well. But what I want to do is start to mark areas that I want to remove. And so I'm going to remove the shadow here. And if I just drag a line along the shadow, this will then mark that as being deleted. Of course, I'll drag across this shadow here as well. It will start to delete that. A little space in here, I'll drag to delete that. I've got the top of the coin which has appeared, so I'll mark areas to keep and drag across the top of the coin, and that should pick up the top of the coin. You may find in this case that it takes a little more fiddling to get the right colors to come through, but I'm eventually getting all of the information. This guy disappeared, so I'm just going to drag down on the little guy and get him to reappear as well. So yeah, I'll just continue, mark a few more areas to delete. And yeah, it sometimes takes a little bit of fiddling here, but I can do a pretty good job of selecting all of the content that I want to remove. There we go. Again, sometimes it takes up other areas that I need to add. There we go. And so there I've now worked through that as well. What I want to do, of course, is keep changes. And there's my image as well. This one didn't work quite as well as some images. And yeah, I could have spent more time and done a little bit more work on it to bring the information back. But certainly it's easier than having to use something like Photoshop to crop out the background as well. Certainly one tool here rather than working with a number of tools as well. So yeah, I find that's really nice to work with and makes things a little bit easier to work with as well. Yeah, it just saves me a little bit of time, so I don't have to jump back and forth to another program as well. Now, I'm going to go down a little further in the presentation to slide, okay, let's look at slide 6 here. And yes, I want to fit this on the screen so I can see this a little bit better. So don't forget there's the Fit Slide to Current Window button, bottom right corner, and now I can see the whole slide as well. If you're drawing a diagram, yeah, Shapes was the old way. The better way is to, of course, use Smart Art. And if you haven't played with this that much, this is a marvelous tool to make things really easy. I just want to create a very simple process diagram with a number of shapes with arrows in between, and click OK, and there I built my diagram. Now all I need to do is add the text, so I can either add it to the shape or to the panel. And so I'll type in text. Find easy, if I want to get to the next one, just press the down arrow key, and I jump to the next item, so type development. And down arrow key again and type marketing. There we go. And so there I've now got my diagram formatted. Oh, I managed to get an extra space, so I can delete the extra one there as well. Oh, select it, delete it. There we go. There's my new diagram as well. I like the fact that I can go back. If I want to, slide 8, this would be better as a diagram. So if I select my content, right-click, and convert to Smart Art. And now I can convert this to a diagram. So there's a little diagram here. Maybe this one works a little better. There we go. There's my process that we're working with as well. So again, really nice little tool to very quickly build and format your information as well. Now, let's see, I'm going to go back to here. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to insert a chart. And if you played with the chart tools in 2013, these are really nicely improved. So I'm just going to work with a cluster chart and click OK. But again, you can choose all sorts of styles and see the styles right here as well. So click OK. There's my chart. I see now the content in a little pop-up window. If I want to actually see this in Excel the way 2007 and 2010 worked, I can click on that. But I'm going to close that. I'm just going to use the standard content as well. Now, if I want to change the chart, I can use the quick layout, which allows me to choose different styles of chart content. I can use different chart styles that give me all sorts of different styles that are pre-constructed to build the chart as well. But the thing I like about this is certainly you can always right-click, but the little plus here allows me to work with the individual elements of the chart. So if I want to change the legend position, I can change the legend to the top right from here as well. So very quickly I can change the chart elements to work with that as well. The next one here is the styles. So these styles are basically the same as the ones here. But I like the color options because what I can do is I can actually, right here, change the colors of my slide based on the variants that are in the color theme as well. So anyway, hey, I noticed that the time is up. And I knew that that would happen. I'd get carried away and talk about a whole bunch of things. But hopefully this has given you a few things that you can work with to make your presentations a little bit better, certainly work a little bit easier. I always like the themes. Great way to start, great way to build a presentation as well. Hey, have a great afternoon.